In Episode 1, the Royal Guard engages in a high-stakes battle against Quincy's. Senjumaru Shutara wields her Bankai to temporarily halt the Quincy's, while Ichibe Hyosube uses his Shinuchi to gain control of the Quincy King's power by changing his name. However, King reveals his true ability, the Almighty, allowing him to foresee every move against him and ultimately overcome Ichibe, securing his path to the Soul King's palace. Meanwhile, Uryū Ishida betrays Senjumaru, turning her Bankai against her, freeing the other Quincy's for the ultimate confrontation. The episode reaches a peak as Quincy Kings approaches the Soul King and delivers a lethal strike, leaving viewers on a cliffhanger that suggests devastating consequences. Meanwhile, head captain Shunsui Kyoraku briefly visits the imprisoned Sosuke Aizen, hinting at a possible alliance to stop Quincy, with Ichigo and his team racing to intervene. This episode sets the stage for an intense showdown, as the fate of all three realms hangs in the balance. In this episode, the long-awaited battle between Ichigo and the Quincy King begins. Ichigo shows off his new abilities after training with Squad Zero, wielding 2 Zanpakuto and displaying significant growth. However, the Quincy King reveals his awakened eyes, giving him the ability to predict all of Ichigo's moves, which tilts the battle in his favor. One of the major moments in this episode is the revelation that the Quincy King needed Ichigo to kill the Soul King. Ichigo's unique combination of powers from Quincy's, humans, Soul Reapers, Fullbringers, and Hollows makes him the only one capable of breaking the seal on the Soul King. After stabbing the Soul King, the Quincy King leaves the sword for Ichigo to pull, knowing Ichigo would try to save him. However, the sword's connection to Ichigo's Quincy blood leads to a devastating turn of events. The king also explains that all Quincy's, including Ichigo, have a natural desire for the Soul King's downfall, as he failed to prevent the near extinction of their race. In Episode 3, focuses on Shunsui Kyoraku's visit to the central Great Underground Prison's deepest level, Mukin, where Sosuke Aizen is imprisoned. Shunsui seeks Aizen's help as a last resort against the Quincy's. Aizen, notorious for his past treason and desire for godhood, had been sealed in Mukin with multiple restrictions due to his immense power, particularly after being infused with the Hogyoku. Shunsui unseals Aizen's mouth, and in a surprising turn, Aizen releases his remaining seals on his own. The two then engage in a tense conversation, where Aizen questions whether Shunsui expects him to use his powers for the Soul Society's benefit. Shunsui, however, clarifies that their interests may align more than Aizen realizes. Both are opposed to Quincy King's desire to control everything. Aizen's ambitions are self-centered. They indirectly align with the Soul Society's desire to preserve the current order of the world. This interaction highlights Aizen's formidable presence and power in the story. Both enemies and allies seek to prevent Quincy King's ascension. Bleach takes a pivotal turn by dedicating a fully realized, intense battle between Ichigo and Uryū. This clash explores the conflict and stakes of the Soul Reapers versus Quincy War, where their personal and ideological differences reach an emotionally charged climax. The episode stands out for conveying the power of Uryū's speed and Ichigo's strength through dynamic action scenes. The episode also provides anime-exclusive scenes that deepen the tragic nature of their fallout, contrasting with the manga's fast-paced duel. The voice acting from Ichigo and Uryū enhances the episode's impact, portraying a deeply personal and painful clash. The betrayer also weaves in supporting characters in battles that don't detract from the main duel. The animation, story pacing, and focus on Ichigo's struggles highlight his darkest hour, as the final battle continues to intensify, setting up further developments. The Soul Society faces disaster with the Soul King gone, and Yhwach seizing control, as a swarm of tiny black creatures floods the realm, attacking indiscriminately and even resisting Byakuya's Senbonzakura. In the midst of this chaos, Aizen arrives, restrained yet exuding enough power to eliminate the threat with sheer presence, demonstrating strength that outshines even the captains. Despite resentment over needing his help, Kyoraku's decision to fight evil with evil speaks to the extreme measures required to protect the Soul Society from collapse. As allies emerge unexpectedly to join this desperate defense, the urgency grows to reach the Soul King's palace before Yhwach can fully consume the Soul King's power. Aizen's chanting of his famous Hado spell is beautifully animated, with a silent backdrop that enhances the tension of his entrance. Alongside Aizen, the arrival of another beloved character further raises the stakes, promising key confrontations that could shift the course of this intense battle. The episode picks up after the return of Grimmjow Jagerjax, a character loved by fans. While his brief reunion with Ichigo Kurosaki is shorter than some viewers may have wanted, it still adds some needed character interaction. The episode focuses mainly on Ichigo and his allies as they prepare for the final battle, filled with some lighthearted moments that remind fans of Bleach's earlier days. Grimmjow doesn't reveal much about his past or survival, suggesting that more could be shared later in the series. The standout aspect of this episode is the impressive animation. Quincy King creates a new realm from Seireitai's ruins, giving a sense of dread and power. Other scenes, like the group's travel and Urahara's gate creation, are good but simpler in detail. Despite having some quieter scenes, the episode manages to keep a good balance, setting up the story for upcoming epic battles. It's a stronger and more action-oriented step forward compared to last week's episode, preparing viewers for major events ahead. Renji Aburai and Uryū Ishida have an exciting battle that is unique to the anime and wasn't in the original manga. This fight gives fans a chance to see Renji in action and highlights his new powers, which were not shown in the manga due to creator Tite Kubo's health challenges and tight work schedule. This addition allows Renji to play a bigger role, showing off his abilities and giving him more screen time. The fight shows the deep rivalry between the Soul Reapers and the Quincy's, with Renji fighting Uryū to defend Ichigo's honor after Uryū's betrayal. While Ichigo's battle with Uryū was full of emotion, confusion, and pain, Renji's fight is more about power and proving himself. Renji stays confident and bold during the battle, showing his character's natural pride. Even though this fight doesn't have as much emotional depth as Ichigo's, it still adds more to Renji's story, making him a stronger character and giving more context to the conflict between the Soul Reapers and Quincy's. The impressive animation adds even more excitement, making the battle a memorable moment for fans. This episode focuses on the battle between Mayuri Kurotsuchi and Pernita Parnjas, the left arm of the Soul King. The fight begins with Kenpachi charging at Pernita, but quickly losing an arm due to its nerve-controlling abilities. As Pernita's powers start affecting Kenpachi's entire body, Mayuri intervenes, using his Zanpakuto to administer an anesthetic and save him. Mayuri discovers that Pernita can manipulate objects and people by extending its nerves, and uses his scientific tools and knowledge to counter its attacks. The episode highlights Mayuri's strategies, including the use of acid and his new version of Konjiki Ashisogi Jizo. This revamped creation has 70,000 protective layers of skin that adapt to Pernita's attacks. Pernita reveals its Quincy Volständig form and continues to manipulate its environment with nerve-based abilities, creating hands and structures to attack. The battle ends with Mayuri's Ashisogi Jizo consuming Pernita's nerve appendages, showcasing the captain's mastery in outsmarting his enemy. Urahara notices a change in Mayuri's energy and tells Shunsui that he should be okay. Shunsui points out that the bigger issue is the weakening energy of their allies. Lil Baro observes their struggle and fires at Shunsui, who counters by using his Zanpakuto's ability to turn children's games into reality. Shunsui sneaks up on Lil and slices part of his weapon. Lil acknowledges Shunsui's strategy and prepares for the next phase of the fight. As Lil transforms and enhances his abilities, Shunsui activates his Bankai. The Bankai creates a dark and cold atmosphere, where each stage weakens Lil. The first stage inflicts wounds on Lil that mirror Shunsui's own injuries. The second stage creates black spots on Lil's body, causing him to bleed, and the third stage traps both of them in a cube of water. Lil struggles to escape, but is unable to overcome the effects of the Bankai. In the final stage, Shunsui uses a thread of regret to cut Lil's throat, ending the battle. Shunsui collapses from his injuries, reflecting on the strong bond he shares with his Zanpakuto. Mayuri fights Pernita, the left arm of the Soul King, which shows its Quincy powers by destroying Mayuri's Konjiki Ashisogi Jizo and attacking with arrows connected to its nerves. Pernita evolves during the battle, adapting to Mayuri's tactics. Nemu steps in to protect Mayuri, pushing her body to its limits to fight Pernita. She sacrifices herself, using all her power to weaken Pernita, but is eventually destroyed by its clones. Mayuri is left shocked and reflects on her bravery and growth as an individual. After the battle, Mayuri reveals that Nemu's regenerative cells were designed to multiply uncontrollably, which caused Pernita's clones to self-destruct. Though he wins, Mayuri is physically injured and deeply affected by Nemu's loss. He retrieves her brain, planning to use it to create a better version of her. Mayuri also heals Hitsugaya, Ranjiku, and Kenpachi, earning thanks from others. As he rests, Mayuri reflects on Nemu's sacrifice and feels he has surpassed his rival Urahara through her evolution. Shunsui and Nanao face Lil Baro, who transforms into a powerful new form with a glowing energy face. Lil claims he is an unbeatable servant of God and attacks with powerful light beams, causing massive destruction. Shunsui, badly injured, tries to protect Nanao, but she steps forward with Shinken Hakioken, a special sword inherited from her mother. This sword reflects the power of divine beings, and Nanao bravely strikes Lil, cutting off his arm and sending his own attack back at him. With Shunsui's support, Nanao defeats Lil, who crumbles away as his power is destroyed. The story also reveals Nanao's past and the curse tied to her family's sword. Shunsui had hidden the blade for years, waiting for the right moment to give it to her. Shunsui reassures and supports Nanao as she faces her fears and overcomes them. After defeating Lil, both Nanao and Shunsui are left injured and exhausted. Shunsui holds Nanao, proud of her strength, and decides they both need to rest after their hard-fought victory. Their teamwork and courage help them win against impossible odds. Bazz-B and Haschwalth's story is one of friendship torn apart by betrayal and ambition. After losing their homes to Yhwach's conquest, the two bonded and vowed revenge, training together in the forest for years. Bazz-B's natural talent and fiery personality contrasted with Haschwalth's calm and steady determination, making them a strong team. However, their bond was shattered when Yhwach unexpectedly chose Haschwalth as his right-hand man. This left Bazz-B feeling angry and betrayed, especially since he believed his talent made him the obvious choice. Their final battle is a painful clash of former friends. Bazz-B fights fiercely, driven by years of pent-up resentment, while Haschwalth remains calm and resolute, focused on duty. Despite his strength, Bazz-B is defeated, and in his final moments, he reflects on their friendship without regret. Their tragic story reveals how Yhwach's manipulative schemes destroyed their bond and turned a shared dream of revenge into a heartbreaking conflict. In the Soul King Palace, Gerard is knocked down by the Shinigami, but he grins and reveals his special ability, the Miracle. This power allows him to grow bigger and stronger every time he takes damage. To their shock, Gerard becomes a giant and begins destroying everything around him, throwing buildings and attacking the Shinigami. Despite their efforts, Gerard seems unstoppable and mocks them, saying no miracle will save them now. Meanwhile, Ichigo and his friends face Askin, whose ability weakens their resistance to the reishi in the area, leaving them unable to move. Yoruichi arrives to help, using her powerful techniques to fight Askin. Her brother, Yushiro, joins the battle, but gets badly injured after Askin adapts to their attacks. As Ichigo and his friends move ahead, Yoruichi stays behind, determined to finish the fight despite Askin's growing immunity. As Gerard walks through the city, destroying buildings and boasting about miracles, Hiyori Saragaki and Hachigen Ushoda hide nearby. Frustrated by his arrogance and the defeat of their allies, Hiyori steps out, dons her hollow mask, and confronts him. In a flashback, a young Uryū pleads with his father, Ryuken Ishida, to stop cutting into his late mother's body. Years later, Uryū tells Ichigo he has no desire to be a doctor, unable to accept a job requiring such detachment. In the present, Haschwalth accuses Uryū of betrayal and attacks him. Ichigo, Orihime, and Sato arrive, but Uryū pretends to side with Haschwalth, even firing at Ichigo. Later, he secretly reveals his plan to destroy Warwelt and gives Ichigo a key to escape. As Ichigo and his friends leave, Uryū stays to fight Haschwalth, who relies on his ability to see the future. However, Uryū surprises him by proving that fate can change, and their battle begins.